Alright, so first I'm going to go ahead and grab the character. I'm just going to download this model. It's pretty cool. If you got your own model, you can use that. Alright, so first I'm going to actually put this inside of Blender. This keeps my characters have the same rig. So I'm just going to delete the bones already there. I'm going to export. Character is fine. So I want to use this file in Mixamo. So let's go to Mixamo. Let's upload our character. So we're going to run through the wizard here. So all of our right side is going to go on our right side. So let's start with the chin. Chin goes here in the middle. Right side wrist. Right side elbow. And right knee. And then we got the groin. Alright, so that looks pretty good. So I'm going to look for animations. First I'm going to start with the T-pose. This will be the base model / skin. So we'll download with skin. Next I'm going to get a walking. Pick one. That looks pretty decent. I'll just go with that. Download without skin. Next I'll get a walking back. And finally, I'm going to get an idle, if I can spell it. This one's pretty cool. I'm just going to turn down the breathing a little bit. Maybe less white. So go ahead and download that. So let's add these into Unity. Go ahead and import these. I'm going to create a new folder. Call this character. And I'm also going to take the texture. First I'm going to select the T-pose and go to materials and extract. So we'll put our material outside of the mesh so we can actually assign our texture here. We'll go back to our T-pose. We can see our model has our texture. Go to the rig, set up the humanoid, create from this model since this will be our T-pose. Next we'll select the other animations. Go under animation type in the rig, humanoid, copy from other. Here's our T-pose. Hit apply. Now first I'm going to start with the idle animation. Go to the animation tab. Rename this to idle. I'm going to loop time, loop pose, begin to pose, original, feet, and center. Make all of these. These settings usually work pretty good for me. And we'll go to walking. Do the same thing. Great, so now we have all of our animations ready. Let's start by dragging our character into the scene. Here's our T-pose. I'm going to right click and I'm going to create an empty. This will be the main character. I'm going to go in the T-pose, right click, and then unpack. We already have an animator, so that's good. We uncheck the root. See our avatar is assigned to our T-pose avatar. Let's go ahead and create a controller for this. Next I'm going to assign this right here. Let's start with the character script. First I'm going to put a character controller. I'm going to shift the center to the half of the character height, so that would be 1. Radius, just about that. So now we'll create the script for the movement. So let's go to a scripts folder, create a new script called movement, or player movement, since this is strictly player. Let's go to delete that. First we'll create a class, or actually let's create a struct. This will contain our movement stats, keep things a little bit more neat. And we'll make this a serializable so we can actually change this in the inspector. So let's do our variables here. So we'll have our walk speed. We'll have walk back. We'll have a sprinting. And this will be rotation speed. Now we can actually create a field. Next, I'm going to create another field for our sprinting key. We'll just use the old input system for now. Keep it simple, so key code. Create a field for gravity. Create a layer mask for grounded layers. Create a vector tree. This will be a grounded offset. We'll put a header here just to keep it nice and neat. So this will be just one for now. So we're using old input system. I'm going to create the strings that we'll use for input, and we'll just make them constant. Let's actually use two more fields here. And we'll need one to cache our colliders, so we can actually just improve a little bit on the slight optimization. So first we'll cache our inputs. Next we'll catch our sprinting. Let's do a grounded check, so let's create our grounded. This will be a private bool. So this will check a sphere under our player with our offset. And if we have any hits, that means we're hitting the grounded layers. So that should be that we're grounded. If we hit nothing, we just return false. I'm going to use a ternary operator here to kind of keep things a little bit neat. This is just a basically fancy if statement. What I'm going to do is actually put another check, or if statement basically, but nested in a ternary, so I'll put another ternary operator here. So we'll actually do if move input is larger than, so if move input dot y is larger than 0, then or get our move stats dot walk speed. If not, move stats dot walk back speed. So if it's not 0 on the forward, okay. So again, this is just a fancy nested if statement. This is the condition. This is the true. If it's false, it goes into another check. And if that's true, then returns a walk speed. If that's not true, then it gives walk back speed. So just a fancy if statement, but two nested, okay? So then we check if move input not equal to x2 that's 0, then we probably don't need to rotate, so let's do rotate only if we have inputs. I'm going to use just an arbitrary number here. You can use whatever you want. I found this to be a decent number to work with when tuning my rotation for the character. And also, I'm going to do a move right here. Let's actually put this inside of here. I'm going to create a method here called move. This will actually return a vector 3. And this will take care of our slope movements. So if we're going down a slope, we don't start chopping down, get all bumpy. So we need to check if we're on a slope. So we'll do a ray cast down. I think 1.5 is just enough, since the pivot point for me it's on the feet. It's actually even bigger than needed, but yeah, better safe than sorry. So if we are on a slope here, or if I actually hit a surface in general, then we'll check the slope. So let's do slope rotation. So that should be the rotation result for our slope. And here we'll check if our adjusted velocity is, the y is actually smaller than 0. That means we should be on a going down slope. If we don't hit anything, we just turn velocity. Alright, so let's use this method here. And we'll pass in our transform that forward. Now let's add our gravity. Let's actually add some gizmos so we can see our... We'll be able to see inside of the editor if we're grounded or not, and also if this offset is good or not. And just so we don't get a null reference, because our CC is not assigned. And also we don't need in the editor. We can do a CC as alright, so let's put our script on our player. And I've already done this earlier, but let's just add a layer here. Call it player layer. Doesn't matter which one you use. It's just as long as we have player layer. Go to our character and make sure you assign that to player layer. And inside our grounded layers, we could just select default for now, because that's all we have. This way we don't include our player in our ground check. Next we'll assign the character controller. Now we can see our gizmos for grounded. Now let's adjust it just a little bit higher. Something like that should be fine. Doesn't have to be too precise. And let's adjust our walk speeds here. So we'll do 1.5. Walk back would be actually 1.2. Let's make this 1.8 maybe. Sprint speed will be 2.2. And we'll keep rotate to like 4. So obviously you can adjust these however you want. So let's actually assign our animations to our player. So let's open up our animator. Let's just start with a basic idle. And let's just give it a quick test before we add animations. So we select our controller, move back, move forward. We can do our rotation, and then we can combination. Let's check the slopes. See, our grounded is not working correctly, so let's remember this 0.2. So let's copy that, add that in. Obviously you can adjust it however you want. Just make sure you're getting a decent result when you're on a slope and you're still grounded. but we added the ability to not skip down the slope here when we test our shift key to sprint. Maybe we add a little bit more velocity to actually see we can see we're sprinting. And we're still not skipping on the slope, which is nice. When we go downwards, pretty smooth. Obviously, this is a little bit too fast for my taste, but you get the point. So we're ready to hook up some animations. So let's create another script. And this will just be called AnimationController. You can name it whatever you want, of course. So we'll start with a reference to our player movement. And we'll reference our Animator. And let's create a field. This will be, let's give it a name actually. This will be our speed. And then we'll actually do a slight optimization. You probably don't need this, but I just like to use it. Let's actually go to our PlayerMovement Script. We're going to create a event. So we'll do a, let's make it public. We'll pass in our movement for now. We can adjust this later on. Let's call this a move. And we can just put this one we can actually put it inside of here. Oh, we just passed the whole struct here. Alright, so for moving, then we'll pass in our move input values, which we'll then listen to in an event here. So let's subscribe to that. We could probably just call it on movement. And we'll pass in our velocity here. Or actually, this will be our input. We can go ahead and go to Animator. That's set float, and everybody knows. So now let's actually unsubscribe that so we can clean it up. So this is a pretty simple script for now. We can probably improve this later on. Go ahead and throw that onto the player. I'm going to assign the script that's on the character and assign the animator that's there. And we can go to our animator first to make sure we do have a parameter called speed. So let's call it speed. Actually, I don't need that one because we'll create a BlendTree, and that should create a parameter called blend, but I'll just change that to speed. We'll double click that, and in here we'll add our 3 animations. So we'll have a idle pose, we'll have a walking, and then we'll have walking back. Uncheck this one. So this one will be -1, this will be 0, and this will be 1. Obviously, for the sprinting animation, we're going to have to come up with something a little bit more clever, but for this purpose, we'll be fine. So now, we should be able to hit play, and it should be working right away. And it is not exactly working correctly. And I think it's because we're not passing the correct, we're passing the rotation input, which was wrong for the IntelliSense suggestion, but I didn't bother looking over it. But thanks to prediction getting it wrong. So now we should actually be good to go. So we have our walking forward, idle, walking back, everything working to 80. You can see when we fell off here, gravity does its thing. And we have our sprinting that is missing, but we might put it in a later video if you actually enjoyed this. So leave a like, comment, subscribe, and see you around.